Welcome to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renee Jordan. This podcast is a accumulation of Dr. Jordan's dissertation work and her passion for empowering Latinas, Afro-Latinas, Black women, and girls to navigate the academic and professional worlds with confidence and success. Whether you're a mother or guardian guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, an undergrad or grad student, someone working on a dissertation or thesis, or simply looking to carve out your niche in the career landscape, this podcast is for you. Each episode, Dr. Jordan shares her story, offers invaluable advice, and provides practical coaching to help you thrive in school, work, and beyond. Join our community on patreon.com/Black-Liberation.Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll gain exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. You're also welcome to follow Black-Liberation.Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or Black-Lib.Tech on X, formerly known as Twitter. Visit Black-Liberation.Tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventure in Inglés o Español. Tune in, get inspired, and let's embark on this journey together. Welcome to Black-Liberation.Tech, where your success story begins. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast. I am your host, Dr. Renee Jordan, and today we're going to take a look at another blog post. Apparently, I skipped a couple from June 2018, and the title of this post is References Have References. In April of 2017, I made my first appearance as a conference presenter during a paper session at the American Educational Research Association's annual meeting. See, I am because we are creative equals post. While at the meeting, I received a message from my advisor, Dr. Fernelier, to attend the Promising Scholarship in Education Dissertation Fellows and their research poster session. When I came in, I started out along the left wall and walked towards the back of the room, looking at the posters and their authors, pausing to engage a few along the way. I reached the end of the row and met a Mexican-American doctoral student and discussed her work at length. Her study examined the volunteer work choices of high-achieving Mexican-American students who elected to go to colleges in or near their community instead of schools that were a better match. Schools with high selectivity. These students were recipients of full scholarships that provided them with the mobility to select any school, and they did not have to concern themselves with the cost of tuition. However, whatever the price, it was covered. After her elevator speech, we held a live working session on her conclusion. She was stuck on bringing together Chapter 5, so we talked out her findings, theories, and the literature that she spoke to or connected with what emerged. She was trying to put her finger on something. It was like the words were at the tip of her tongue, and I wouldn't have been surprised if she blurted them out suddenly, but they just wouldn't come together. So I asked her, is there something from your culture that can explain what you see here? Tapping on the point of contention on her poster. I continued by providing a disclaimer. Please excuse my ignorance, but something that comes to mind is mi casa es su casa. Is there a saying, tradition, or folk tale that explains what you're seeing? She exclaimed. It's like funds of knowledge. I responded that I was not familiar with it, but it sounded like she was on the right track. I encouraged her to look there, not knowing where there was myself, for an explanation. Our session ended due to the formalities taking place in the center of the room, announcements, recognition of contributors, and a speech. I have not reconnected with this author, but I was excited to run into funds of knowledge while shopping for resources in my advisor's collection during the writing retreat, May 2018. I picked up my own copy soon thereafter. So, in reflection of this blog post, References Have References, I want to talk about A couple of things. It's helpful to talk about your work with other people. You never know who can direct you along the way. It's not that your faculty member or advisor is not an expert. They just might not be an expert in your missing piece, and it's up to you to locate it and do your scholarly work, find it, and share it with them. Your dissertation should demonstrate what you have learned as a result of your work. And now that you are the expert, when you defend it, you should be able to teach others about it. Now, the reason it has to be defended is because there are other ways of explaining a phenomenon. And at the end, you need to be able to make an argument that clearly states why your way of explaining a phenomenon is one that is valid and worth consideration amongst the scholarship of your field. So if you have a chance to do a poster session, a roundtable discussion, a paper presentation, anything, if you have the chance to share your work with others, you should do that so that you can get feedback and perhaps get insight on where else you can look in order to get help. Now, if you notice from that blog post, she was able to tell me about funds of knowledge. So it wasn't that she wasn't aware, but she just needed something, a conversation, some dialogue, discussion, feedback to help encourage her to look again, because she had an inkling of what it was that she wanted to look for. And hopefully in searching through funds of knowledge, she found what she was looking for, or she was able to get a resource or a reference that would help her along the way. Another reason it was important for her to talk to someone else about her work was because I was able to ask her probing questions to help her get back to what she already knew. So it's not that you don't know what you're talking about, or you don't have the expertise, or that you don't have the resources, or that you haven't read something before, but perhaps by talking about your work to someone else, someone who is fresh on the scene, doesn't know you necessarily in terms of your background and what you have and have not read amongst your literature review, or perhaps an annotated bibliography that you did in preparation for your work. But that extra conversation from a stranger can get you on your toes and get you to thinking about, what have I read? I know I've seen it before. I just can't think of it right now. Perhaps having a conversation with someone who's willing to ask you questions, challenge where you're going, and perhaps encourage you to keep going or go back to something that you did not consider, but you knew about, could help you along the way. So please take a moment to talk about your work. If you can do it in a formal session like AERA's poster session, where they have opportunities for people to talk about their dissertation work, or in any other conference or professional organization setting, if you have a classmate who's willing to have a conversation with you, take a chance, reach out to someone, talk about it. Perhaps you could even talk to someone who is outside of your field altogether. Maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a relative. One of the key things that I've heard said over and over again was that your dissertation work should be explainable to your grandmother as well as an 8-year-old. If you can talk about what you are learning at those levels, then it will be clear to any audience who is reading your work what you're trying to communicate as it relates to what is happening in a phenomenon. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about funds of knowledge to you. I'm going to encourage you to go read about it yourself. But in short, by her going back to funds of knowledge, she will have the opportunity to take a look at what she has to bring based upon her cultural background that can help explain what's happening in the phenomenon. The reason the use of funds of knowledge, as well as other ways of knowing and being, are important is because sometimes in order to explain something, it's helpful or useful to go back to what your community has to say about the way people are and the way they think, the way they learn. When you get to the point of writing your dissertation, keep in mind that you are adding to what is known in a discipline, a field. So sometimes that means you're essentially either making connections or bringing to light things that have not been considered either often or at all. So think about what you have to bring as an individual, as a member of a community, as a scholar, as a researcher, as an educator. When you have reached this point, you are making a difference in terms of what others will have the opportunity to learn about. They will go to your work to find out what else can be said about a discipline, a field, or a phenomenon based upon what you have found as a result of doing your work. And at the end, not only will you educate those readers, you'll educate your committee members, you'll educate those who attend your dissertation prospectus as well as defense. Now, as a result of that engagement, when I came across the book a second time with my advisor during a writing retreat, I knew that I needed to get a copy to find out what it was all about for myself. And I took into consideration funds of knowledge and included information about it in my dissertation so that perhaps someone else who is looking for other references to use as tools for their work, they will be able to engage it or see it or notice it as a result of reading my work. Perhaps they might have seen it before, or maybe it will be their first time seeing it. So in short, I want to encourage you to have dialogues with people regarding your work, whether they are colleagues, friends, family, faculty, classmates, whoever is willing to listen. Perhaps they can help you think deeply about your work in terms of being able to explain it in a way that communicates what you're intending to communicate, in a way that is clear, in a way that is accessible, in a way that is educative, and that they learn from you as a result of you sharing your work. Talk to people, bounce ideas off of them. Think about the work that you have read about. Perhaps there's something that you have read that you might need to revisit in order to help you connect the pieces or connect the dots or connect your thoughts as it relates to a way of explaining a phenomenon. So with all that being said, I also want to encourage you to make sure that you are being curious as you do your work. Think about it. What else can be said? What else have I read? What have I missed? Is there someone who has a wider span of knowledge in terms of references and resources that I might want to consider? Is there someone that I could talk to, perhaps that I don't know a lot about, but they have a lot of knowledge and perhaps can share with me some of the tools and references that can help me along the way? So maintain a healthy level of curiosity and make sure that you're being open-minded as you move along your way. Thank you for tuning in to the Black-Liberation.Tech podcast, brought to you by Jordan Nuance LLC and hosted by Dr. Renee Jordan. We hope today's episode has inspired you and provided valuable insights to help you navigate your academic and professional journey with confidence and success. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, as well as rate and review the podcast to help it become more discoverable. Whether you're guiding a child through grades 6 through 12, tackling undergraduate or graduate studies, working on a dissertation or thesis, or exploring your career options, this podcast is here to support you every step of the way. Join our community on patreon.com/Black-Liberation.Tech and become a member for as low as $5 per month. As a member, you'll enjoy exclusive access to live recordings, impromptu academic and career coaching, and a network of like-minded individuals committed to mutual support and success. Don't forget to follow Black-Liberation.Tech on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and LinkedIn, or Black-Lib.Tech on X, formerly known as Twitter. Visit Black-Liberation.Tech for even more information on Dr. Jordan's adventures, available in both English and Spanish. Stay inspired, stay empowered, and keep moving forward. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.